Today on Spotlight on the Arts, a special with artist Zigmunds Priede. Welcome to JCTV Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the studio of artist Zigmunds Priede. Spotlight on the Arts is endorsed by many artists and art lovers now throughout the world. I'm your host, Rick J., with a special guest today is named artist Zig Priede, originally from Latvia. Mr. Priede makes his home now in Olathe, Kansas. Mr. Priede is well known for his contemporary artworks and also for his skills ever since he stepped into the printing studio at the University of Minnesota. His brushwork generally begins with a print. I think artist Penny Theme of the Kansas City, Missouri Artists Coalition describes him best. His connection to lithography transcends the physical manifestation, ink and stone. It is something more primal, deep within his nature, as if ancient voices whisper their secrets in his sympathetic ear. Please join me, if you will, in welcoming Mr. Priede. Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, Mr. Priede. I'm truly excited to turn the spotlight on you today. Well, Zig, if I may call you by your first name, please tell us a little bit about you and those highlights of your life that best describe Mr. Zig.
Well, I think I have to start with where I was born. I was born in Latvia, and that was many, many years ago. From Latvia, I ended up eventually, during the war, into the United States. And that is really where my beginning, the awareness of art started to develop. I went through high school, and in college, I was still thinking maybe I would become a philosopher. And but after writing a few papers, I realized that I had to really deal with images. And there was an artist teaching at that time, Malcolm Myers, who introduced me to printmaking. And when I walked into that print shop one day, it was like I forgot all about my other classes. I was so fascinated with all the processes and metal plates and all the tools, and then there was a big bucket of black tar in it that is acid-resist substance that is used to control what you do on a plate. That was my real beginning. And from then on, it just kept on growing. And then eventually, from Minnesota, I ended up into Berkeley, California, where I got my master's degree in art. And then from that, I met a New York artist who had driven out to West Coast, and he had a car, and he said he really would like to fly back, and would I deliver the car to him? And I thought, hey, that is fantastic. And I drove the car, stopping in Minneapolis first, and saying goodbye to Mom and my sister, and I headed for New York. Got into the Big Apple, and that was a shocker. I've never been into such a place where the traffic and the activity and the noise was absolutely incredible. But that was a good beginning, because then I met some of the New York artists. I did some work for them. I did stretching of canvas, preparing the canvas, so there was a certain process that you had to do. And that I found that exhilarating, fascinating, exciting. And I had a studio and I had an apartment. At that time I could afford both, because they were cheap at that. After a while, after I having met a lot of the artists, there was still something that was in back of my mind. I really wanted to do printmaking because my background was in printmaking. And so I met an African American man, Bob Blackburn, who had a studio of presses, of printing presses, manual printing. And he introduced me to the space. I could pay very few, like $5 a month. I had a key to the studio. I could go there and start making prints. After he saw what I was doing, since he had a connection with Tatiana Grossman out in Long Island, Universal Limited Art Editions, I knew nothing about.
I see.
And so I said, he said, would you go out and meet this very gentle Russian lady? I said, well, of course, of course. So I ended out there, and at first sight, I walked into this property. It was just a very old house with a garage. That's where the print shop was established. And I saw this very gentle lady come out of the house, and right away it said, this is it, I like it. And we met, my Latvian accent, her Russian accent, we got along just fine. So that was an exciting period, a lot of activity. There were times that I was really frightened because I really didn't know all that much about lithography. I still had to learn a lot. I mean, this was a world-renowned litho shop. What was I doing there? Just a student. So I ended up staying up many times after a day's work and experimenting on the stones, trying out different techniques, so that if I have to do something with the artist, make sure I don't mess it up. And that helped a lot. But in doing all of that, I mean, as exciting as it was, and meeting these artists, like especially Jasper Johns, which was really demanding, but exciting to work for him. There was something in back of my mind. This is good, it's exciting, but I want to do my own work.
Yes.
And so eventually what happened was I went back to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I got a teaching job because my old professor liked what I was doing and gave me a position. And then Tatiana Grossman got in touch with me and said, look, can you come out periodically, like once a month or something, or between semesters or whatever. I said, sure, I can do that. And that was exciting. I mean, getting on at that time, you get these old propeller planes, and hit a lot of air pockets, so it was up and down, up and down. That way I was able to take some of my assistants, take them out there, introduce them to Tanya, and tell them what has to be done, and then I could fly back, leave them there for a month or two, and then come back and see what's going on. And then eventually, I guess so, I probably sent out about 4 or 5 of my assistants there. And some of them remained there, became very good printers, and did excellent job for Universal Limited Art Editions.
Well, if I may ask you, that I see where you became inspired. What continues you to be inspired to continue? You're in the senior life of your years, the golden years of life. Where do you get the energy, and what inspires you to continue with your works, your awesome works?
The reality of it is, it was something that I like to do. I like to make images. I like to print. I like the process. I like the techniques. All that involvement. It's like kind of medieval, some kind of a shop where you do magic.
Yes.
And then something comes out that you get excited and maybe even...
So it becomes a passion. And we all know passion in life, but there has different meanings of passion in life, and one of them is our artwork. As an artist myself, you have to have a passion for the art. I can see from your heart and your delivery that you really are passionate about what appears before us as we look more into your art. So that's I love the feeling that you're exhibiting today in your golden years, showing still maintaining that passion that you. So you've been a long road from Latvia to today and your lifetime experience. You got a taste, and as you described, step by step. So thank you so much for that, Zig. Well, can you share with us then the medium you like best to work with, just briefly in your work?
In most of my works, it's really a mixture of printmaking and painting. So in other words, I may start something with a wood block, or it might be an etching or lithograph. In many cases it was lithographs. And then I would make some marks on top of it. I would collage some elements into it, and it just kept on. There's nothing wrong with that.
You need that extra space sometimes to relax. Paint from the right side of the brain, as they say, to relax. Well, excellent. Wow. Now, what do you use? Oils, acrylics? Or you're mixing your own?
Well, mostly I used to work with oils, but when you start working with paper, acrylic paints work better. Watercolor, tempera, all of those things I have used. Oil pastels are good, and the combination of all those mediums are compatible, and there's no problem.
Excellent. Well, with your life experience, and we're going to talk more about that after the break, but is there a lesson right now, based on your life experience from a young boy in Latvia and getting into your awesome art, is there a life experience that you could offer our viewers as far as to inspire them? What would you say as a beginner or the one that has become into a lull? How do you pick up and go to the next project? Do you have a way of getting yourself motivated?
Well, having done some teaching at university, you learn to discover what the young people are looking for. And many of them, of course, as in universities or junior colleges, they are not taking the course because they want to be an artist. They're taking it as a distribution requirement. So the big onus on me was how to inspire these students to give their best, to get excited about something. Many of them did get excited, were interested, and the other thing that they impressed upon them, do it because you like to do it, because it's inspiring. You can be a doctor, but you can still make pictures.
After the break, we join Mr. Zig Priede at the home of Barbara Smith and Landon Kirchner, where we will learn more about Zig Priede's life that spans 7 decades as a World War II refugee, master printer, and professor of art. Also, you'll learn how he arrives at a project theme, how he brings it together, and any techniques he would like to share with you as a plus, I guess we could say. Also, a look at a great upcoming event that you might, in fact, a couple upcoming events that you might want to attend, where Mr. Priede will be honored as an artist, for example, at the Kansas City Artists Coalition. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
So here are the keys.
Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here.
Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Welcome back, everyone, to Spotlight on the Arts, a special today with artist Zig Priede, who is here with me today to give you an overview of his experience as an artist and more through a window that you can only see right here on Spotlight on the Arts. Today, at this segment, we're coming from the home of Barbara Smith and Landon Kirshner. So please stay with us. Zig, I would first now like to ask you, you covered so much in the first segment, but I want to narrow it down to, can you explain to us your artistic process?
These here, all of them are what I would say mixed media works.
Okay.
Meaning that there is a mixing of different processes of like acrylic, impressions of plastic skeletons, which I would ink up and press into the paper.
I see.
Or some other additional marks that are either acrylic or watercolor. So it is very mixed in terms of the kind of mediums
that you choose to use. I see. I see different expressions throughout your work. We've seen rocks today, pieces of string, whatever you can incorporate into the process to express your thoughts and what you'd like to express to the viewer. Well, how long does it take you to complete a project generally?
Well, it's hard to say. Some of them come out easy. I mean, there's always that first impression where you make a series of marks and then you look back at it and say, nah, it's not quite done. I got to do something more.
Oh, I see. And if it stays around in your gallery too long, I keep working on it. You keep working on it and make changes or additions.
That's right.
Well, excellent. Well, this began many years ago. We talked about being in your senior years. So life began in the country of Latvia. And the paintings in front of us really sort of describe a moment in your life was life-changing. And that was the immigration process.
This here is a work of collages that I did 40 of them, but these three are kind of introduction. And this in particular, because it is a map of Latvia, and it has a Latvian flag. It has the monument of freedom that is right in the middle of Riga, the old section of Riga. And my favorite plant at that time as a child was this kind of a piece. I don't know what this is called now. And my favorite memories is there's a postage stamp, Latvian postage stamp, where this little boy is going with these animals and playing some kind of a tune. And the same too is the cancellation stamp. And here is a brooch that is for women to hold together their robes. And then there is the money, the front and the back. And this represents the war, the destruction. The blade, the circular blade, is twirling around and is breaking everything apart. So it is kind of and then this is part of downtown Riga, kind of an introduction of my memories as a childhood. Then I moved to more, a little bit later, where in the United States, and this is my mother. She was a very religious person. As a student in printmaking, I did this print of Jesus Christ carrying a cross. And here is the cave in which supposedly Jesus Christ's body was being deposited. And of course, there are two different stories, whether the Christ was really there, whether something else happened. Of course, as a child, I didn't know all of this, but then at the university, I knew the story. I had even took a class in Bible reading, so I knew all that, but I was skeptical. I really was not a believer. But I certainly did accept what my mom believed, and she never questioned me. All through the years, she never raised any indication that I should be more of a believer or what have you. This is kind of a collage I made that suggests of eternity. Here is a beautiful flower in a glass of water, and in the stamen comes up and there's a little cross in there. I thought it was a good play to my mother and to this nature.
Excellent.
And here are some pictures of Riga during the war. St. Peter's church was bombed, and the tower collapsed. Later on, it was rebuilt, and it looks beautiful. And there are some poets or writers. And this one is my memory of Latvia, where my father, my mother, and myself were riding in a one-horse sleigh. That was very, very memorable. There's a lot of things I don't remember, but I remember that. This is insignia of Latvia, which all European countries have for every different parts of their countries. And then there are just other elements in here. The compositionally, what it does is it kind of sets a triangle. This goes up this way, this goes down this way. And so that was my kind of a main interest in this. Other things are in here that could mean many different things. I may even forget what they are. But it doesn't matter. What is important is that visually, compositionally, it holds together.
Yes.
If I don't know what it means particularly, it doesn't matter, because it's still artwork that works.
Yes. Great memories. Thanks for sharing that story with us. You could see basically through your inspiration and past that you've shared with us some of your wholesomeness and your passion for art and being able to express that on canvas or board or a paper, what have you. Well, that is great. Well, Zig, now, thanks for that presentation. This special event that's coming up soon, we talked about earlier, I believe it is based on a memoir of mixed media to include a canvas entitled Signifiers of Memory. I believe there's 30 pieces in that collection that you'll be exhibiting, where you'll actually let the paintings speak of your memoirs of the past 80 years. Can you share the context of the event? I believe it's going to start at the Malin Gallery. Is that true?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. And can you give us the dates offhand?
No, I can't.
All right. Well, let me help you on that. I did a little research with the help of the Penny Theme. I have August 9th through August 30th there at the Malin with an opening reception, which you'll be able to give a few words on August 9th. And that's going to be from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m.
Right.
Also, at that reception, I understand, it may be a surprise to you, but I understand you'll be, it's basically an honorary reception, August 16th, 6 to 9, with a special artist talk about 7 o'clock p.m. So viewers, you do not want to miss the actual artist talk at 7 p.m. Also, I understand you'll be exhibiting at the Art Org in the state of Minnesota.
Yes, that is in plan.
Great, super. So we look forward to that. If you folks on YouTube and worldwide are planning a trip to Minnesota, you want to be looking for Mr. Priede's work there at the Art Org. So I hope you all will attend, and we look forward to, again, visiting with you. I'll make every effort that I can to be also in attendance. I want to thank you for contributing to Spotlight on the Arts, Zig, and it's been really an inspiring visit with you. We're about to run out of time, so on behalf of Spotlight on the Arts and JCTV, I want to say thanks again, Zig, and Penny Thing for working so closely with me on getting the program together and the research and information that she's offered. So thank you very much for bringing this special event to fruition, everyone. Definitely want to extend my thanks to Barbara Smith and Landon Kirchner once again for inviting us to their beautiful home here in the Shawnee Mission area. This wraps up another great show of amazing talent and featured artist here, Mr. Zig Priede, on Spotlight on the Arts. My thanks goes out also to JCTV producer Gloria Enlow and crew. And thank you, viewers, once again for joining us. Look for more Spotlight on the Arts right here at JCTV. And don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick J. saying, see you next time.